Hello there, it's Mr. Commons here, and my understanding is that you will pretty soon be visiting one of the Chemicals on Trial court cases. This is the culminating activity of a Grade 8 interdisciplinary unit, and I thought as this was happening, I should take the chance to try and explain what it's all about. So first of all, the overview. An interdisciplinary unit comes about because in language and literature in Grade 8 they've been studying To Kill a Mockingbird, a novel by Harper Lee which has a very famous court case scenario at its centre. Whilst in science they're studying chemistry and chemicals. And if we put these things together, what we have is the Chemicals on Trial interdisciplinary unit, which looks at the skills from both of these subjects and brings them together for one simple activity. With the Chemicals on Trial IDU, our students work in groups and they have to identify a chemical which they need to put on trial. They're either prosecuting it or defending it. So let's think about the different roles involved here. So the characters you're going to see play out in the courtroom are, first of all, we have the prosecuting attorney. They're the people who are saying that this chemical has done something wrong. We also have the defense attorney. They're the person who are defending the chemical and saying that it's doing a pretty good job. On the other side, or as well as the attorneys, we have the prosecution witness. This is a person, a scientist, who's giving evidence about the chemical. And we also have, on the defense side, a defense witness. And again, they'll be giving some evidence as lead scientists about the chemical which is on trial. Now, how it plays out is there's a certain scenario. What happens is that they'll introduce themselves and the roles they'll be playing. Then the prosecuting attorney will deliver an opening statement saying how dangerous the chemical is. The defense attorney will deliver an opening statement explaining how this is beneficial, this chemical. The prosecuting attorney will then directly examine the prosecuting witness. This has all been planned in advance to try and highlight the dangers of the chemistry. Then the defense attorney has a chance to cross-examine. Now this hasn't been scripted or planned at all, so it's an opportunity for the defense attorney to attack the witness and try and prove that they're not worth listening to. Then the defense attorney will bring forward their witness, where they'll work together to highlight the benefits of the chemistry topic. And then comes the prosecuting attorney, who will cross-examine the defense witness, and their role is again to try and undermine the statements made by this witness previously. Then the prosecuting attorney will make a closing argument, and the defense attorney will make a closing argument. And this wraps up the court case as a whole. Now the jury role, and you're the jury, so this is really, really important. You have to listen to the arguments carefully, try and make sense of them. You're required to vote on the effectiveness of the presentations. Now this is nothing to do with if you think that the chemical is guilty or not guilty. We're talking about here is about how effective were the attorneys and the witnesses. And effectiveness means that how good were they at just presenting their information? Were you convinced by their roles? After that, we'll take part in an unbinding show of hands for a final verdict if the chemical was guilty or not guilty. Now these are your roles and they're really important. The vote on the effectiveness of the presentations has an impact on the Grade 8's grades. So you really need to take this seriously about how great an impact did the different characters have on you. Then, as a separate feature, you've got to decide if things are the chemical is guilty or not guilty, and that provides really good closure for this process. So that's the jury role. I should mention whilst I'm at it about how this IDU is being assessed. Okay. So IDUs are assessed with 4 criteria and the disciplinary grounding. First of all, in the scripted statements, the implications of the use of science has been examined and been assessed. Now, whilst the performances are taking place, you'll notice that there'll be teachers in the room scribbling things down because they'll be assessing both the verbal and non-verbal skills used in the presentation. Criteria B, synthesizing, is all based on how well they handle the cross-examinations, both with their knowledge of science and the role of the character they play. Criteria C, communicating. The character makes a strong impact on the jury. This is what you vote on, so that has an impact there. We'll also look at how well they've researched the information and correctly used in-text referencing in an MLA format. And finally, students will reflect on both the strengths and weaknesses of themselves and also identify the strengths and limitations of the ID as a whole. So this is how an IDU is formally assessed. And it's something you're going to get familiar with as you work through the NYP, as you should be doing about one of these every year in the future. So, just remember, the Chemicals on Trial IDU, you have an important role to play. So please enter the room with a positive attitude, listen intently, and then make up your mind about how effective the different arguments have been, and also finally if the chemical on trial is guilty or not guilty. Okay. Best of luck.